Shut up and sit down.
Welcome everybody to the DwnFwdPUNCHcast, episode
18.
I'm your host Jason Saris, and with me is David Reed. How you doing, David?
Mr. E3 himself.
Mr. E3 himself. Also joining us via the magic that is Google Hangouts, we have Brian Bestvina, who is that fish tank guy.
Yes.
And the founder of LifeLongGamers.com. Brian, how are you?
So hey, what's up, guys? Me again. Really appreciate you guys having me on the show again. And I really like talking about E3 and finding guys who enjoy video games and all things video games in the industry. So I look forward to another good discussion today.
Thanks for joining us. All right, so we have covered pretty much all of the E3 conference at this point. The only ones that we really have left are Bethesda and Ubisoft.
We're picking through the scraps at this point.
Well, we're
like, this is like the popcorn on the floor after the movie theater. Like after the movie. It's kind of like, that was down there.
You have this angst towards Ubisoft and to a lesser extent Bethesda. I don't. I didn't think of these as the scrubs.
I love Bethesda because when I see Bethesda, I think ID Software, and that's all I care about anymore.
I think Bethesda kind of gets lumped into with the lower group just because they're a smaller company. I mean, they don't have as many properties.
They're like a mini Activision. They make garbage games every year and over and over and
Bethesda?
over again. No, I'm talking about Ubisoft.
Oh, I was talking about Bethesda.
No, Bethesda's
great. I was going to say, they don't make
Bethesda
garbage
makes
games.
Sweet games.
And Ubisoft, I think, gets an unfair shake, too, because they have a lot of properties, so not all of them are gold, obviously, but a lot of them are really good titles. But anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about those real quick. Starting with Bethesda, because they went before Ubisoft did. I thought it was interesting that Bethesda seems to be really trying to hunker in on this VR game. I mean, we saw Doom and Fallout VR, which we kind of both...
Want to know a cool fact?
What's that?
It's called Doom VFR.
And what is the F?
I read this today, and you know what's funny is that when I read it and they were like, what does the F mean? I was
is it like BFG?
Dude, I know what it is. It's basically, the way they clarified it, they were like, you know what the F and BFG stands for,
that's
right?
What I was gonna say, yeah.
It's the same thing with VR. And I was like, that's fantastic.
That's pretty.
That is so
amusing.
good. Though I don't care, because why would you ever want to play that game a year later in VR?
You know, for me, VR, I feel like its price point is way too high for it to become a mainstream thing. And I was surprised that Bethesda touted Doom. They touted Fallout 4 as big VR titles. Those games are 2 or 3 years old already. I kind of wonder who's going to want to go back and experience them again just because they have VR. So that was one thing I was a little bit confused about.
I mean, sure, if you're desperate.
I mean, if you
don't get me wrong, Doom's amazing.
If you haven't played it and you have a PlayStation VR, by all means.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
but
I mean, go for it.
At this point, like, I'm never going back. Like, I already put my 35 hours into that game. I'm not doing it twice. You know? So like whole Bethesda's VR thing, I was like, just get out of here.
It seems to me that when all the companies at E3 this year started talking about VR, like there was like almost like a sigh over the crowd. Like you couldn't hear it, right? But they started talking about VR and sort of like the energy was just drained from the room.
Skyrim VR or whatever it was, who cares?
Yeah, and then we saw a lot of Elder Scrolls We saw an expansion, so they're bringing Morrowind and Heroes of Skyrim to Elder Scrolls Online.
For the 5 people that play it.
You know, I know that I've heard that comment before, but
apparently there's a lot.
But at least the numbers that they're throwing out seem like they're pretty high. So somebody's playing it.
Yeah, it's free to play too, technically.
Yeah.
So it's not like you got to pay monthly like some games like Final Fantasy.
They also mentioned the creation club for downloading mods,
which looks so cool.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think that makes it a lot simpler to kind of do your thing with it.
It's the neatest thing that I know I'm never going to use ever. Like, I'm serious. I saw it and I was like, I'm never going to use this, but my God, if that isn't awesome.
Yeah.
I thought it was very cool. Yes.
Yeah, it was a cool thing to put in there. You know, Skyrim is known for the modding and whatnot, and we even got to see kind of the when they showed Skyrim for Switch, we got to see what the mod that using an amiibo does.
Yeah.
We got to see Link.
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to clarify something. I said it was Skyrim VR. It's totally Fallout VR, which is fine because Fallout is so mediocre. And, like, that's fine if you want to make a Fallout VR game. Like, whatever. But yeah, going back to Skyrim, since I mispronounced that whole scenario, the Zelda thing for Switch, right? Like, I was like, all right, Skyrim on Switch, whatever. What about the song choice they picked for that trailer?
I don't remember what it was.
It was really like high energy / like Fall Out Boy style. I don't know what it was. I have no clue. But it was like very like, I don't even know, like pop tuney. And I'm thinking like, where's like this epic, fantasy soundtrack for Skyrim? Like they picked some really weird song to play in that trailer. But then anyway, so you're like, you take this little amiibo and you stick it on your Switch, and then like a treasure chest appears. You're like, oh cool, maybe I get some rupees. And it's like, nope, you get the Master Sword and Link's costume, and now you're walking around as a Mongoloid Link. That's what it looked like. You know I'm right. It was ridiculous. However,
it was a little ridiculous, but
for somebody who doesn't care, because I've already played Skyrim, I think I'm going to get it. I think I might buy it.
I think that is probably the most compelling thing they could have done to breathe life into a Switch version of Skyrim.
Actually, it's not necessarily even the costume. That's more of a novelty. What it was that actually convinced me was the control system that you use to play the game. Like you use your hand for the sword. The bow system blew my mind. Where you like literally pull back and let go. If it works like they showed, oh man! Like that's that. Look, who needs Fallout VR and Doom VR? You can just play Switch VR without the actual virtual reality, but you're like doing the motions and it's reacting. And the motions on the Switch are very good. They're very accurate, so I'm kind of hopeful for this.
So we also saw Bethesda really kind of getting into, or trying to get into the esports.
Everybody.
Yeah, the esports movement. Does anybody care about Quake at this point? Is Quake Champions really a significant thing?
Quake, maybe. I guess. I feel like right now there are so many titles competing for esports. You have Halo, you have Overwatch, you have Counter-Strike is still a big esports game. You have Lawbreakers is coming out. That's going to be another one. I think that there are a lot of newer IPs competing in that esports space. However, Counter-Strike's been around forever. They had a following from the oldest game all the way through till today. And I'm sure Quake still has that following, but I don't know if that audience that is the core of who Bethesda is kind of reaching out to, like, hey, here is the Quake that you guys know and love, but now it's better. Like, I think that audience is not really big enough to push that title to be like a main esports contender. I just don't see it.
Quake is a big part of my life. QuakeCon, when they, as much as I remember, and I just had the same reaction I did until I remember that this was a thing. It's funny this happened to me twice. Quake is a game that came out shortly after Doom, and like ID released a lot of old properties back in the PC. It was like Hexen, Heretic, Doom, Quake, and that might have been it. I don't know. There might have been one more. But anyway, like Quake was always kind of like, it was Doom and Quake, Doom and Quake, Doom and Quake. And then Unreal showed up, right? Unreal kind of like took the reins and became like this multiplayer thing. Well, Quake and Doom spawned something way back in the day, probably back in the 90s, called QuakeCon. And QuakeCon was a giant LAN event where everyone kind of got together and played multiplayer Quake and Doom,
and they kind of had a nod to that during the conference too. Yeah.
And that's what made me be like, esports. And I was like, all right, hold on a second. They're kind of like OGs. I'm like, I'm all right with this.
Yeah.
So when they released Quake Champions or whatever, right? I was like, oh, dude, I'm like, I really like Quake. I forgot how much I like Quake. And like, I like Unreal Tournament. It's one of my favorite shooters ever. It reminds me of like how Halo was very arena based at the time when it first came out. Instead of the giant maps or like the smaller ones where everything was kind of chaotic. And I like that. That's my favorite type of shooter, is the small, chaotic style, like fast-paced shooting. If you watch the speed in that game, I mean, it is ridiculously fast. It's like, how does anybody play that game? But I can handle it.
Vomit City.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I really like that game, and I was glad that they came out with Quake Champions. It's free to play as of right now. It's still in beta. But it looks fun. And it looks like it has some like Overwatch properties, like where you get like a special ability based on your character. But not like 4 different abilities that really change the tide of the battle. It's more like just for yourself, like one thing. But I'm not going to lie, I think Quake Champions looks sweet.
We also got to see Evil Within 2. And man, does this game looks spooky.
and fantastic.
Fantastic.
You didn't play the original, did you?
No, I didn't, but I want to.
It's made by the original creator of Resident Evil.
Okay.
Which, he's been kind of gone and like out of the scene for a long time.
Sure.
Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6, well, 5 and 6 for sure, are like kind of trash games. They really broke away from the whole concept of what made Resident Evil good, even though 4 was still arguably the best one.
Oh yeah, 4 was fantastic.
So Evil Within kind of revisits the same kind of concept as Resident Evil 1 and 2, except with a little bit better controls, and then just a whole new storyline. And it was excellent, really creepy, great boss battles, wonderful gameplay, just really, really fun. I was extremely surprised. And that started when I started to realize that Bethesda's the real deal.
Oh yeah.
Like when they made Doom and Wolfenstein, for example, I was like, I hated these games back in the day for the most part. Like they weren't amazing. Don't get me wrong, they have their place in history and their classics and whatever. But I was like, well, what are they gonna do? You know what I mean? Like Doom 3 was so miserable. How can Doom 4 be good? Doom 4 is amazing. Wolfenstein is amazing. Evil Within was amazing. And I'm like, Bethesda, give me a Bethesda conference every year. I will watch it from start to finish. I'm a believer that this company somehow makes amazing things. Everything they acquire somehow turns to gold.
And you mentioned Wolfenstein, and we got to see the Wolfenstein 2 trailer.
The new Colossus.
Jeez, like
the 9-minute trailer?
Yes. This Wolfenstein 2 looks bananas.
Yes.
Like every aspect of it looks bananas. I mean, the visuals are amazing. The story premise seems like really well thought out. The characters seem really interesting. I mean, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
And then you see the little guy, the guy dropping acid at the end, and the little gecko thing.
Asking you to save 10%, 15% of your car insurance.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. I didn't play Wolfenstein 1, but I'll tell you right now, I plan on it.
I think you should.
I'm going to go play it because I want to play this one, and I need to know what happens in the first one.
Originally, when Wolfenstein 1 came out, or the new Wolfenstein The New Order, they called it, I was like, eh. And then a friend of mine played it, and I kind of value his opinion, so I was like, he's like, you really, really should play Wolfenstein The New Order. I think you're going to absolutely love it. And I was like, you're full of it. And he's like, dude, it's like $20. Go buy it. I'm like, all right, fine. So I bought it. 100% was addicted to that game from start to finish. I couldn't stop playing it. It was so good. And then I started telling everyone, like, you got to play Wolfenstein. You got to play Wolfenstein. And that's what, like, when I mentioned earlier, too, about Doom. I was like, Doom 4 is going to suck. But then I forgot that it was a Bethesda game, and Bethesda's like somehow just makes something magical. And as you know, and I've mentioned a few times, Doom 1, it was one of the Game of the Years last year.
Yep.
And I've often said that Doom is the game that I would have paid $60 for, even though I paid $30 for it. Like, I wish I would have paid full price, because it was worth it.
Sounds foolish.
I know, but that's like me giving it the praise it deserves.
No, I know. I'm just being facetious, but yeah.
So like when they announced the new Colossus, and I was oh, and by the way, how about the intro with like all the like the weird like old like Little House on the Prairie thing that they did? Did you see the full trailer?
The whole thing is so good. Like the I could watch that trailer gameplay video as a movie.
Yes.
Like it's so like I don't know if you ever watched Man in the High Castle.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
I mean, I feel like I'm playing Man in the High Castle as a video game.
Except with a better storyline.
It's
okay.
Man in the
It's
High
kind of slow.
Castle's fine.
It's kind of slow.
You think?
Well, my favorite part about that initial trailer was that thing where they have the game show called German or Else. Like, I couldn't do it. It was too funny. And it's funny because I'm German and I know some of these, like, the way Germans function. So, like, that stuff was just hilarious. Like, my grandmother, she's not a Nazi or anything, I'm just saying, but, like, she's German and it's kind of her way or the highway, you know what I mean? It's like, it's German or else with her,
Yeah.
So it was funny. Like, those are things that, like, I could appreciate, but I always like how that, like, it's that historical background or backdrop in, like, a fictitious story,
Yeah.
as playing as John Cena, essentially. You got it this time. Nice. But yeah, that's huge. That's a very, very cool announcement. I was very excited about it.
So moving on to Ubisoft, we got to see more of Mario versus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Weirdly enough, Miyamoto showed up during the Ubisoft conference, but not Nintendo.
Yeah.
Nowhere to be found for Nintendo, but he's like, hey, I'll just show up at Ubisoft.
Oh man, I'll tell you, this Mario Rabbids thing, this was one of the cringeworthy moments, right? But it's like typical Miyamoto. Miyamoto comes out on the stage. He's got his translator. He's been working with American people for his entire career. He still doesn't know any English, right? He knows a little bit here and there. He puts on a big gun. And the irony is he always said that, like, oh, I'll never make a game with Mario with guns, right? Well, he's flipped his mind, right? So he comes out and he's posing and he's acting like, oh, yeah, I got guns, right, Mario? And it was just like, it's like in the style of XCOM, which I've never played. I think it could be interesting. I can't really take it seriously as a game that I would like get into. I feel like it might be a game I'd like to try, I'd have fun with. Maybe if there's some co-op, it'd be fun to play with a buddy. But in terms of it being like a hardcore, title that I'm gonna follow, and I can't wait until it comes out. Again, it must not be for me. I don't know.
All right. So in addition to that, we saw Assassin's Creed, which I know, David, you are not a big Assassin's Creed fan.
It's like the same game every time.
I think this one looks really, really good. I've not really been drawn to Assassin's Creed for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I did play a little bit of Black Flag. Yes, Black Flag's the one I played. 4, yep. Mm-hmm. I played some before, and what I played was good. I haven't finished it. But this one looks really interesting. I like the setting in Egypt. It looks visually really good. The controls seem better.
I will say this. The one thing that did kind of go it raised my eyebrows a little bit, right? Is like the final scene in the trailer. He's like fighting a giant snake. And I was like, finally, Assassin's Creed is taking kind of like a mythical approach.
Yep.
Where it's not just like, you're an assassin in ancient times and you fight other people.
Well,
like, that's kind of boring.
I think that has to do with the setting, though, because if you're in like the U.S. Revolution or the French Revolution, or whatever,
you can't have dragons.
Yeah, you're gonna have that. But like in ancient Egypt, you can have Egyptian gods and the kind of things like that. So
I think that was really cool.
Yep.
Like, what if the main enemy is like Anubis?
It could be.
That'd be sweet.
So
anyway, we'll see. Maybe Assassin's Creed could be cool. So I don't think it's going to get me back in the franchise, but it's a huge game. Ubisoft needs this game. They're going to obviously keep making them.
And they took the time off to try to make it right. So I'm going to give them benefit of the doubt because,
But if you have time to play Assassin's Creed, you have time to play Metroid Prime 3.
Okay.
Just saying. Don't you give me that, I got no time for this game. I'm going to play Assassin's Creed, whatever. Wait till it's $20.
So speaking about Black Flag, again, because we mentioned it a moment ago, that one was the one that was known for the naval combat. It looks like Ubisoft just took all the naval combat out of that, decided to package it all up, and ride the pirate game pony everybody's been jumping on lately.
Yeah, the two companies that have jumped on it.
There's three pirate games out right now. There's Sea of Thieves, there's Skull and Bones, and there was one there's one more that I can't remember now. But there was a third one during the conference.
Interesting.
Yeah. It escapes me now, but I promise you there was 3. Anyways, so they have Skull and Bones, which looks exactly like Black Flag's naval combat. Like they just made a whole game out of it. And maybe it's fun. Maybe it's not, Black Flag did it and it was entertaining.
But
cool. How many pirate games do we need right now?
Oh my God, just give me 30.
All right.
As many as you can give me. I'll take them all.
Them out.
We need to have a pirate-themed E3 next year, where it's just pirate. Like some company just makes pirate games, and that's all they show.
I want to see pirates present games that have nothing to do with pirates. That'd be great.
Yar mateys, here be Halo 6.
Are there guns in it? Nar. There's cannons. There's parrots.
There's plasma cannons.
There be no cannons in Halo 6. Sorry.
This is going to be hard to break out.
All right.
So this is a low point, I thought, in Ubisoft's conference. At one point, they announced Just Dance, and they didn't play any part of the game at all. Like, all they said, they
just kept bringing weird people out that no one had ever heard of before.
I have heard of Bibi Rexra, whatever her name is. She's on that. She's on some song as, like, she does the hook for some other song, whatever. So I recognized her. She looked much different in this. So they had her come out and then just people dancing. And I get that there's not much to see. Like if you've played a Just Dance, you know what they are. But shouldn't you still show something?
Can I clarify why they did that? I know why.
Why?
So weirdly enough, one day or another, I was like looking on Twitch and I was bored, and I found that there are literally things like Just Dance competitions.
Okay.
Like legitimate ones where it's almost like American Idol, but there are people playing Just Dance and doing the movements, and they're really good. Don't
I'm
get me
sure.
wrong, but it's super boring to watch because it's Just Dance, and I can't stand any of the music in those games.
But I don't fault them for showing people dancing.
It's
but
almost
show
like
us
they
the
did that to
games.
showcase the kind of competitions they have, because
That's
what you're
okay, you could
essentially,
do
you're not
both.
necessarily doing it for the music, you're watching the people on stage. The sad thing is that during a competition, it's more impressive. When it's people that are paid to do this for real life, you're kind of like, whatever, just show me some of the game.
Yeah.
But why would you want to? It's just going to be neon black figures.
It just doesn't. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't know why they keep making these. Just make them in.
They're
Make it.
super popular.
I know, but make one for the platform and then just keep pumping out packs for them or something.
Or just be like, hey guys, Just Dance 2018, here's the song list. Look at it, 3 minutes long, take a picture with your phone, let's move on.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, but whatever, that's what they do.
We got to see. We got to see Phone Destroyer, a new South Park mobile game, which I thought was really interesting because wasn't Trey Parker and Matt Stone the guys that were, talking about how awful microtransactions were and that kind of stuff? And guarantee you they're coming in this.
They may or may not. We don't know that yet.
That's the only way mobile games make money.
In a way,
Are
yeah.
they gonna-
But at
are
the
you
same
just gonna
time,
buy a
do
mobile
Matt Stone
game
and Trey
for
Parker
$10?
need money?
Yeah.
Probably not.
No.
They have a
So you think they're just making a free game?
multi-award-winning Tony Broadway show that makes them tons of money still.
Which is
They have
ridiculous.
a 21-year-old show that is still on the air, making them tons of money.
True.
They have roughly 2 to 3 successful video games. Chef's Love Shack, South Park 64, and Stick of Truth.
Yep.
And now the Fractured Butthole.
Yep. And
is
we got to
coming
see
out.
that as well.
And did you watch any of the gameplay? Because it is entirely different than Stick of Truth.
Yep.
I'm so excited. I was excited regardless, but I'm
I'm actually-
really excited now.
I'm surprised to hear you're excited because of how much you like Stick of Truth. I thought that you were going to be disappointed that it's moved away
It's
from
like
that format.
it's like grid-based combat in a way, but it's like you can team up with your like your other dude, and like
Yep.
I like how this one is going away from the fantasy aspect. It's like taking the like the superhero concept, like Wendy is the girl that Stan is always
yep.
like afraid to talk to, and every time he sees her he barfs
throws
on her. Right. Well, in this game she's like if you need me I'll be right over here, and he's like, what do I call you? And she's like, you can call me Call Girl. And I was like, that's the freaking funniest thing ever. She's got all these cell phones on her belt, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
her name's Call Girl.
No, those are great.
I love Matt Stone and Trey Parker so much because they're the most brilliant people that disguise their intelligence in really crude, awful humor. They're the best, and their
Yeah.
show is the best, and this game is so perfect. I'm so excited. It should have come out a year ago, but whatever. I'm finally gonna get
You know
it.
what though? I would rather they delay the game and make it right than
Yes.
try to rush it out and it just not be.
All of the animations of the game are hand animated, like
Just
during
like
the
the
demo.
show.
Yeah, and during like the demo, like there's this guy. He's like peeing on a urinal or something like that, and there's like pee going everywhere. He's like super drunk. You're like in a strip club, and like you can go up and like punch him and stuff, and he'll be like, "Hey kids, like why are you doing that to me?" He's like, "I'm trying to pee over here." And then like you can go up and like you can do like your special move, which in this case they picked farting. So like you can go up and fart, like, "Oh man, this stinks," and he's like peeing everywhere, and like every animation was unique and different. And I was like, this character doesn't mean anything to the game. He's just a dude in a bathroom.
Yeah.
Yet they spent all this extra time kind of like creating these little experiences. And when I found that out, I think I'm gonna really take my time trying to see what little like nuggets are in the game. Like
Yeah.
Stick of Truth had tons of them, and I'm really excited about this one too.
So then they showed some game called Starlink. You remember this?
No.
What the hell is this thing? So this is like some kind of game where you're connecting like spaceships on top of your controller, and then you put on different add-ons to it to do different things in game. It's like they're trying to ride like the idea of an amiibo or what's that other thing that's
Oh, like the Toys to Life, like
Like a s-
Skylanders.
yeah, like
and
Skylanders.
Lego Dimensions.
So like they showed the various controllers. You showed the Xbox, the PlayStation, the Nintendo one, whatever, and you build like these starships on top of it. And I don't understand how it's translated. I don't understand what it is, but
Yeah.
it looked like it would be obnoxious to try to play your controller with a giant spaceship on
I'm
top of it.
surprised that they're even making the effort, because essentially the whole concept of like Disney Infinity, which is now completely done, Skylanders is riding its coattails at this point. Like there is barely anything left
Yeah.
of Skylanders, but it's still there. And then you have Lego Dimensions, which its only survivability is based on getting adults to like things from the 80s, like Back to the Future, Gremlins, and
Yeah.
Goonies, for example, Ghostbusters, whatever. And they keep releasing stuff like that, but like kids now aren't gonna be like, "What's Gremlins?" They don't know. When's the last time a Gremlins film came out?
Yeah.
Never. since like 1987.
Not recent enough.
Yeah, exactly. Like 30 years ago almost. So it's like they're almost like trying to cater to adults, maybe almost for collectible purposes. But like Lego Dimensions is essentially dead in itself too.
And I'm surprised too that they are doing this because, from what I understand, retailers have been complaining about this whole model.
They hate it.
Like they can't stand it. They can't stand stocking the SKUs and the way people like want specific things, and then they bug them all the time. For like Walmart, I guess, put up a big fit about it, and I think others have as well. So I'm surprised that Ubisoft looked at this and said, "Let's do one of those."
Well, let's look at it this way. Like if you go to like Walmart, for example. Now, I don't know this for sure, but I'm just going to take a wild guess here, right? Because it's considered a video game, it might be kind of under lock and key, right? Whereas, like, standard toys in general, there's really not that much demand for them, so they can kind of sit open on a shelf, you can grab it, bring it up to the register.
Sure.
Like, I wonder if the stuff you have to, like, kind of create special space for, in a sense, like, that sucks. And don't get me wrong, I've seen stores that have literally just find ways to consolidate it all, or they just start to clearance it all out just to try to get rid of it. But they're not even fun and collectible enough to where you're like, I don't even own the game, but maybe I want this. I don't even want it. Like, I want nothing to do with it. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see if this thing takes off. It might be a huge flop, but who knows? We'll see.
So then we saw Far Cry 5, which, you know,
amazing.
the trailer got, you know, dropped prior to E3, but we got to see more of it. And it does. It looks really good.
Oh, yeah.
Really, really good.
I love the setting. I've never cared for Far Cry in general, mainly because it's just kind of... I don't know. I feel disconnected from its story.
Yeah.
Even though, like, they're always, like, in Costa Rica, it's, like, some drug lord and blah, 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 and you're, like, in this island, and it's very tropical, which, don't get me wrong, is beautiful. But there's something cool about, like, this whole, like...
It's a very interesting premise.
Yeah,
it's
like,
different.
you're in Montana, there's, like, this religious crazy man who's trying to build a militia because no one, you know, like, basically anyone that doesn't believe in the faith is essentially an enemy, and I like things like that. I don't know why, but I think that's cool.
I mean, it's different. I think that's the appeal of it. Like, I've never seen this kind of concept in a game.
They actually went to Montana, and that's when they felt like this is the right place because they actually scouted the location. The town they built doesn't physically exist in the actual state. I think it's called like Hope County or something like that or whatever.
Okay.
But anyway, the town itself is very meticulously modeled, and they said actually this was really fascinating to me. They said there's a lot of characters you'll interact with. And, like, while they were there scouting and talking to people and kind of getting a lay of the land and the type of people that live there, there'd be people that were super helpful, like, real nice, you know, like, hey, welcome to town, like, let me show you around. And then there were people that would be like, I don't want to talk to you at all, get off my property, or I will literally shoot you right now. And they said that they took all these cool interactions they had with people, and they put those characters into the game. So some people might act super aggressive, but they're modeled after real interactions that they had.
That's cool.
I thought that was really neat.
Yeah.
But Far Cry 5... It's not till next year, but I'm kind of excited about it. It looks fun. It might be the first one I really give a shot to.
Now, we have to talk about their closing. Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Did you ever play it?
No, I didn't, and I want to because this looks so amazing. Even though we didn't see any gameplay.
No,
it was all just
cutscene.
All just cutscene. But my God, like that looked really awesome.
Mm-hmm. Well, Beyond Good and Evil was a PlayStation 2 and GameCube game. It was very, very well received. Huge cult classic. But then, like, a sequel never happened. Apparently, it has a really good story too. Though, unfortunately, I played it based on a recommendation on way, way, way after it came out. And it didn't sit with me like it did the day it came out for somebody. Like maybe the day they bought it and it was fairly recent and new, and they loved it. But it didn't sit with me as well as maybe it had sat with somebody, you know, a few years prior, right? Maybe like I had experienced things that were better than its story that it was trying to tell, and maybe like another game just did it better, right? And I was kind of like, this was fine, it was good. Anyway, I still liked it, but it wasn't like my favorite thing in the world. It was like an adventure game, like a third-person adventure game mixed with Pokemon Snap, in a way. Like you would take pictures of creatures in the world, and that was like a new concept. So that was a big deal. And then like this sequel got announced like, I don't know, years later, and then it disappeared again, right? So everyone always kind of wonders, like, is Beyond Good and Evil going to show up? And then so people just stopped asking the question. They're just like, whatever, it's probably not showing up anymore. And then randomly this trailer shows up out of nowhere. Yep. I wasn't terribly like, whoa, right? But it was a good trailer. It looked cool. And also, like, it is a prequel before the main character in the original Good and Evil, Jade. It's essentially before she was born. The pig, by the way, in the first game, that was like her uncle. Seems really weird.
Okay.
But anyway, that's why he's in it. Like, he's probably related somehow to that storyline. The monkey was never a thing, as far as I know, but that monkey was pretty cool and all that. But yeah, so this trailer looked really cool. I'm excited that this game may turn out well. But I think the best moment wasn't even the trailer itself. It was when they, like, kind of like that couple that was been involved in making the game for like the last 12 years or something. Like, they came on stage and they finally had something to present, except this tiny little teaser that was like 30 seconds long. This was like 3 minutes long, And they come on stage and like the applause is enormous. Everyone's thrilled.
Yeah,
They're like,
people are going
"Oh
nuts.
my god, you're finally making this game!"
Yeah.
And like he was like extremely emotional, and I was like, "Wow!" Like that resonates with me. Like, that was kind of like, this is not just a game. This is a labor of love.
I think it did with me too. Like, I think that drew me to it even more because it's like, wow, this is this guy's passion.
Yes.
It's his passion project. It's his baby. He's going to put his all into it. And I want to see what that is.
Yeah,
I don't
I
even
am
know
too.
this guy from Adam. It doesn't even matter.
Exactly. But I think it's going to be cool. So, good for them. I'm glad they finally kind of got their moment to shine a little bit. And let's hope this game is going to be fun. Whenever it comes out.
My biggest WTF moment was the glowing Sub-Zeros.
Oh, the glowing Sub-Zero?
Yep, they were dancing around with part of that Just Dance thing. So during their lowest point, all of a sudden they have these guys that look like Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat doing weird goofy things. Like, I don't know. Okay, sure, we're doing this. All right. So
I don't know if I really had any low points at any of these conferences. I really enjoyed both, and I gave them the benefit of the doubt this time, and it was just kind of like, all right, let's see what you got, and I think all of them delivered in their own way.
I thought it was interesting that Ubisoft decided to use a lot of like YouTube creators and stuff to present. I don't know. I mean, Brian, do you think that was a worthwhile tactic? I mean, was it interesting, or does it pull people out of it?
I think it's a bad move. I don't understand why they would use YouTube personalities, because they are putting on these conferences for people who are fans of video games, right? And if a fan of a video game, myself, my buddies, you guys, like, we don't care that somebody on YouTube is presenting the game. We care about the game itself. So I feel like when they have a YouTube personality on there who either A, you don't know who they are, or B, they look super uncomfortable, right? It doesn't add anything. It takes away from the presentation rather than what they should be focusing on, which is the game, the content of the game, new things coming out that they haven't showed before. So I don't know why they did that so often, but hey, they kind of felt like maybe they were appealing to a younger crowd than us. Maybe the younger crowd loves the YouTubers, right? But I don't think you and I really care about it all that much.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't know. It was weird for me.
I don't remember that part. I swear, like, some of these conferences, I just kind of focused on the games and forget everything else.
Yeah, you're lucky. You're lucky.
Apparently.
You can block out the bad stuff. Anyways, so that was the DwnFwdPUNCHcast episode. What?
18.
18. That's Bethesda and Ubisoft's conference from E3. Like this video, share it with your friends, and don't forget to comment down below. Subscribe to the channel as well.
Yeah.
This way you can make sure that you get all of our videos, and to make sure that you get prompted when we post one, hit the little bell on there too, because that'll make sure that you know exactly when we put our next video out.
Yeah.
If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can at Sergio Armani, or you can follow the group at DwnFwdPUNCH. That's at DwnFwdPUNCH. If you'd like to follow Brian
At Bestvina, or you can look up my newest YouTube channel, The Fish Tank Guy, on YouTube.
if you're into fish.
Right.
Which, fish and video games, they go well together.
And if you want to find me, I'll probably be stuck at E3 because I never left and I can't get a flight home because I ran out of money.
Yeah.
So I'll be there in the conference hall till probably next year.
Well, you'll be first then.
So just show up. Say hi.
It'll be a DFP exclusive set up for E3 because you're still hiding in the corner of the building.
So he'd be like, "Sir, what are you doing here? Like, wait until next year?"
No, you just be like, water. Water. Food.
Assassin's Creed. I need it.
Anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, keep on gaming.